Good morning to you from New Brunswick, New Jersey. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. It is Saturday, the 21st of August, 2021, and I am in New Jersey getting ready to head out from here to get over to Long Island. Of course, you know why. We have to keep track of what's going on with Henri. Almost a hurricane. I think it'll be upgraded to a hurricane at the 11 o'clock Eastern Time advisory. My live coverage will begin around that time as well. The live vehicle cam will be up and running. That'll be available to our patrons on Hurricane Track Insider and publicly available on YouTube. The vehicle cam always is. I'll talk about that more at the end of the discussion. We also have Grace, which made landfall as almost a Category 4 last night in Mexico. That is dying away now over Mexico, but it's still causing some heavy rain, wind, and even residual storm surge and high waves down that way. But Henri will quickly become the headline here, and for good reason, as it's going to be moving towards an area of pretty significant population up here in the Northeast, New England, and it's going to bring with it a variety of impacts, and that's what I'm going to focus on in today's update. Here's the satellite presentation of it, the wide shot. Believe it or not, it is better organized than it was yesterday. It still has sort of an odd, non-traditional look to it, if you will. It doesn't quite look like a well-developed tropical storm, but the structure is improving, and it's likely to become a hurricane if it's not already. Here's the leftovers of Grace now moving quickly inland over Mexico. Again, that reached Category 3 intensity. We are well ahead of where we should be in terms of the amount of activity so far this year. We're actually, for the ACE count, that is the accumulated cyclone energy, we are ahead of where we were last year, 2020 being a record season. It wasn't that high in terms of the accumulated cyclone energy. That's just a statistic we look at that tells you sort of the quality of the hurricanes and storms that we have each year. You might have 30 of them, as we did last year, and if many of them are short-lived and weak, you don't have that high of an energy output or the ACE score. So right now, we are ahead of where we were last year for what it's worth. Out here in the open tropical Atlantic, lots of disturbances, convective activity, but nothing organizing that we need to be too concerned with for the time being. So we'll focus here on Henri off the coast of North Carolina. This is a really neat visible satellite animation. What are all these yellow speckles? Well, those would be lightning strikes detected by the GOES-16 satellite. And here's Henri out here over the Atlantic, just to the southeast here of Cape Hatteras and vicinity. Better organized. The low and mid-level centers are starting to align better. It's got pretty good outflow overall. The wind coming out this way, that's the outflow. It's still got a little bit of shear, some dry air out there, but it has plenty of warm water to work with and high values of what we call CAPE, and that's just energy in the atmosphere. And this has a ways to go. We can look at another perspective of it here. Really neat tool from the weathernerds.org site that you can overlay the sea surface temperatures, and the magic line is right here, 26 Celsius. I'll outline it in white. This is basically 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 C, and Henri is still down here over 29. It'll kind of partially dip into an area where the water temperatures are 28 Celsius or about 82 Fahrenheit, but then it's got the Gulf Stream right here to go through. And not only is that back up at that 29 Celsius mark, excuse me, but that is also the water's moving. And so there's this constant flow of warm water as well. And there's a 30 degrees Celsius isotherm sitting in there. Luckily, that's well away from the center. But the bottom line, the core that is starting to get better organized in here will move over all of this warm water, and then it's going to fade back towards the northwest at some point. And yes, it will leave the northern wall of this warm water area and then have a little over 100 miles or so before it makes landfall to start to weaken. And the thing is, though, the gradient, this is very important. The gradient, which is in this case the difference in temperature, what we call the temperature gradient of the ocean, is not that steep over distance. And to make that point, let me just show you real quick here. This temperature gradient up here in the North Atlantic is much steeper. Almost think of these as, well, they're contour lines. These are called isotherms, or lines of equal temperature. And so this is a pretty steep temperature gradient. The difference in temperature here and here over about 100 miles is pretty significant, whereas from here to Long Island, the temperature gradient is much less. See how there are less isotherms in there? Lines of equal temperature, contour lines. If you know a topographic map from geography, that's what we're looking at. So it'll weaken, but it's not going to just fall off a cliff. And it's also the height of hurricane season. It's not October. All right. So this, whatever intensity it gets up to, 75, 85, maybe 90 miles per hour, hopefully not more than that, it'll lose some of that coming in, but the damage will already be done, so to speak, that the wind field will be there. It's going to interact with some energy coming in from the west. We call that an upper level trough, and that's going to kind of agitate it and get those winds to really start to expand and come down to the surface. So we're going to have a big power outage problem. Trees are going to get knocked over, and the beach erosion, the storm surge, the high waves, all of that is going to just compound up into the northeast, Long Island Sound, southern parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and then interior areas as well. So it's coming. It's getting better organized. It will be a hurricane, at least pretty sure of it, and people need to be ready for it no matter what it is. So real quick here, I want to point out something very helpful. You know, you go to the Hurricane Center website, nhc.noaa.gov. You can also get there with hurricanes.gov, hurricane with an S. Didn't know if you know that, but you can. Hurricanes.gov. And on the home page, there's a lot of stuff here. Please use this right here, the local info on Henri. This is from National Weather Service Philly, New York, Boston. All right, these are really helpful links. Click on those. I'll do it for you briefly here. Let's look at Boston. It'll take you to their web page and all the local information that they have about what's going on with the storm. So use that. That is very, very important, very helpful. Also, scrolling down, this is Grace, here's Henri, and this is the headline that they tell you in the public advisory. But then there's all these infographics. This is the rainfall. Very helpful. Look at this, 4 to 6 inches, maybe 6 to 10 in parts of Long Island. And then over here in the western portions of southwest New England, that's problematic as well. Parts of the Hudson Valley, very heavy rain, windy conditions, 30, 40, 50, 60 mile per hour wind, depending on the wind field and how this is structurally stacked. We're going to have a big problem here. Flooding in some of the streams, creeks, rivers, urban flooding. These are the impacts. All of these graphics are available, very easy to use and interpret. This is the peak surge, and some of these areas 3 to 5 feet, generally speaking, maybe higher on some of the areas as the water really piles up in here. In Long Island Sound, parts of Connecticut could see higher, but that's not what the Hurricane Center is indicating just yet. I know several people in the storm surge unit. I work with them. You know, we collaborate. It's not official. It's just I share my camera data with them and they share data with me. It's a nice little relationship, and they're not indicating anything much higher than this. To me, I know that there's some tweets out there from some folks that are showing much higher, but the official is no more than about 5 feet. Locally, yes, we could see a few higher spots where the storm surge is higher at those spots. But generally speaking, this is the storm surge, and you got to understand, it's been 30 years since a hurricane made landfall up here directly. And so what does storm surge mean? It's different than it meant 30 years ago. This is 3 to 5 feet above normally dry ground. And these are the worst case scenarios. If it comes in at high tide with onshore flow, the different computer modeling that they use, the slosh model, and other guidance suggesting 3 to 5 feet, as you can see on this graphic. So, you know, if you live here, you know the area. Think about little bays and coves where the water could focus. You could get some higher amounts. And then on top of that, of course, you have the dangerous surf. And speaking of that surf, let me just go back. Let's go to the track map real quick. All along the east coast here, swells and the rip current threats from that down to the Bahamas, Florida, you name it. Some really good video from Wrightsville Beach. They flew the drone showing a rip current yesterday. So surf is up. Yes, but it does bring with it the chance of rip currents, and those can be deadly. Another source of great information is weather.gov. You go to weather.gov, you can just click on the map if you know your area, click up here in Connecticut, and you can see there's a storm surge warning along the coast, hurricane warning. All the different warnings are indicated here. You can just click on a certain area. Let's say that you are interested in Newport. You click on Newport, or you can just put in your zip code, and then you get the landing page here, and it gives you, I must have clicked on like the water area. So let's just click on Providence, Rhode Island. And it loads up. Hopefully, come on, internet. There we go. So you see for Providence, Rhode Island, a forecast and so forth. But again, these are the headlines that you need to be reading right here. Hazardous weather outlook, hurricane local statement, and this is valid for anywhere in the United States. You can put your zip code in. If you are geographically inclined, you know the areas well enough. You say, hey, I live over here, somewhere near Riverhead. I live near there, or Brookhaven, whatever. Boom, there's all this information, and it's at your fingertips. Read it. It's very helpful. All right, so the track map. Real quick, this is from our interactive tracking map on the HurricaneTrack Insider site, so we can zoom in and interact with it, just like it suggests. And you see the line here, the track line, that's for the center. Whatever eye or center it has, the effects are going to extend out well beyond that. The onshore flow piling up into this area ahead of the storm or the hurricane, whatever the case may be. The northeast winds will funnel across Long Island Sound, piling the water up towards the harbor. You'll have onshore flow, battering waves and storm surge right along the southern part of Long Island, the southern part of the the New England area, the north part of Long Island Sound, and even a stiff east wind blowing into parts of eastern Massachusetts. So this is a big deal. It doesn't take a whopper of a hurricane where everybody's talking about it like it's this. You don't have to have a Sandy or a Bob or a Long Island Express to create big problems. A lot more people live here now than 1991, and certainly a lot more than 1938. Okay? Big population, lots of people out here. It's the weekend. It's very problematic. This is going to cause a lot of problems. To what extent those problems are, well, we don't know for sure. But these impacts look serious, and I encourage you to take them as serious as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm over here in New Brunswick area. I'm going to head out to Long Island in just a little bit, and then starting way out here on the east side, working my way back to the west, I'm going to drop several pieces of equipment. What do they look like? This is what they look like. This is the camera box that we use. This is the truck that we use to haul everything around. A couple of weather stations. This is from last year, just some archival pictures for you. And this is what the weather station itself looks like when it's deployed. That's an anemometer, and this is what we do. And you can view all of this on our interactive map right here through our HurricaneTrack Insider site. We have a permanent camera at one of our supporters' houses in Bating Hollow, New York, right on Long Island Sound, and I will ad-lib as we wait for Nest to populate the video screen. Tickle it to try it one more time. So this is what we do. Come on. It's going to leave me hanging. Let me back out and try again. Come on. Nest. So I'm going to put these cameras out. Whether or not this one comes up doesn't matter. I'll put these cameras out over the next several hours. I'm working with a colleague of mine from Brazil. His name is Marcel. He has come up. The camera not popping up really aggravates me. It does work, believe me. He's a geographer from Brazil. I met him at the National Tropical Weather Conference. He's one of our Patreon supporters, and he was coming up here. He was very interested in the storm, so he's going to be helping out, and we're going to work out on the east end of Long Island, make our way back west, and then get over to the north side of Long Island Sound and start putting some camera systems as much as we can along this area. We have 10 of them. I brought 10 units and one full weather station. That weather station that I showed you right there, that's not it. Where is it? That's it. One of these. We have one of those. Those are very expensive, and there's not a lot of places we can put those up here. They clamp right to the Jersey wall barrier part of these bridges and overpasses. So you have one of those that will deploy. I've already got a good spot in mind for it. And that's the plan. And then head back to somewhere in Long Island. So we're going to do a lot of driving today and be down on Long Island for the landfall. I got to be there. You know, we got instrumentation in the vehicle, the live stream from the vehicle. But you can check all of this out through Patreon. We crowdfund it through this website and app called Patreon. We connect that to the Hurricane Track Insider site right off of HurricaneTrack.com. I'll show you that real quick. Should have had that ready, but that's all right. So we tie it into Hurricane Track. You log in here with your email from Patreon. No password for Hurricane Track Insider. You just use your email from Patreon and boom, you're in. And then you have access to the map, the live cams, which is a really neat dashboard here where there are thumbnails, or a nice pop-up dashboard. I'm sorry, that's the track map. The dashboard is there, digital dashboard. We can add more cameras on here as needed. Hey, there's the one from Baiting Hollow. I knew it was there. It's just being slow. So this is Long Island Sound. You're looking at Connecticut way in the distance there. This is what we do. It's all through Patreon. You get to be a part of it. So, want to share this with you. We have over 630 something current and active members. People join up and, they see what the hurricane's doing, and then they might want to drop off for, the off season. That's fine. We're building this community where they crowdfund the future of this. So it's not a subscription. It's more of a cooperative, and we are crowdfunded. That's what we do. So I'm going to shut up and get this online. Our live coverage will begin around 11 o'clock Eastern from the vehicle. That'll always be available through the Patreon Insider connection and on YouTube, as I was saying earlier. Always want to do something and give back to the public, the greater good. So it'll be streaming live on YouTube. Feel free to share that link. It's youtube.com/HurricaneTrack. I mean, because you're watching this on YouTube. All right. Be safe out there. Be ready. If you have electrical needs for somebody that's on oxygen, any other thing that where electricity means life, you need to get ready today. This is it, because you're probably going to lose power in parts of Long Island and southern New England, and it could be a few days, because this is going to be a big event. All right, I'll talk to you more live from the vehicle here within the hour. Thanks as always for your time, your support, your attention. I do appreciate it. It's great to be up here. I've met a lot of great people here over the years, from Sandy and the nor'easters that have been up here for winter. So, I hate to be up here on business, but business calls. I'm here. We'll make the best of it. We'll work our magic on our end to try to keep you informed on your end. I'm Mark Sudduth, Hurricane Track. I'll talk to you again from the vehicle in just about an hour.